Hey my dudes, my name is Cecilia and welcome to my kitchen here in Stockholm, Sweden. Spring is really springing right now and rhubarb is in the stores and I am just so excited. I absolutely love rhubarb. I did 2 rhubarb recipes last year. I just can't get enough of the stuff. I always cook with it a lot during the spring, but this year I wanted to show you guys something really special, and that is RABARBERBULLAR, which basically just means rhubarb buns in Swedish. So think of a Swedish cardamom bun. It uses the exact same dough, but we're going a little bit lighter on the cardamom. We're also going to be adding in a pastry cream, chock full of vanilla, and then topping it with this gorgeous poached rhubarb. But I am super excited about them and super excited to show you guys how to make them. So let's just get started.
First, start with the pastry cream. Pour 250 grams of milk into a small pot and place on the stove. Scrape the seeds from half a vanilla bean and add that to your milk. Into a bowl, add 60 grams of egg yolks, 50 grams of sugar, and 25 grams of cornstarch. Whisk to combine. Heat the milk until it starts to steam and then slowly pour into the eggs so that they can warm up without curdling. Once all the mix is in and the mixture is thoroughly mixed together, pour the whole thing back into the pot. While whisking continuously, bring to a boil. Boil for 1 minute so that the cornstarch cooks out. After a minute, turn off the stove and whisk in your butter. Then strain through a fine mesh strainer. Put plastic wrap on contact so the pastry cream doesn't form a skin and place in the fridge to cool down. While that's cooling, take another pot and pour in 300 grams of water and 300 grams of sugar. Add in the other half of the vanilla bean. While the simple syrup heats up, cut your rhubarb. I like to make mine about 1 centimeter thick.
Raw rhubarb is like one of my favorite things on earth. So sour, so good.
Place the rhubarb in a heat-proof container. Once the simple syrup is at a boil, pour directly over the rhubarb. Make sure all the little pieces are covered in syrup and then put the lid on and set to the side. Let sit on the counter until completely cool. Now let's work on the dough. Into the bowl of your stand mixer, pour 550 grams of milk, 200 grams of butter, 1100 grams of flour, 200 grams of sugar, 15 grams of salt, 23 grams of cardamom, and 70 grams of fresh yeast. Place on the mixer and using the hook attachment, mix on low speed for 5 minutes. We want the dough to just begin to come together. After 5 minutes, kick the speed up to a medium fast and let mix for around 30 minutes. To check the dough, wet your fingers, take a piece of dough and stretch it. See how I couldn't stretch this piece without ripping it? There isn't enough gluten and the dough needs more time. I gave the dough another 5 minutes, and see how you can now see my fingers through the dough? It's so thin! This means enough gluten has developed and the dough is ready to go. Turn the dough out and form into a square-ish, rectangular-ish shape. Wrap in plastic so a skin doesn't form and place in the fridge for at least an hour. While that's cooling down, make the butter filling. Into a bowl, add 250 grams of sugar, 3 grams of salt, 3 grams of vanilla sugar, and 300 grams of butter. Mix together. Make sure your butter is well softened or you might struggle a bit. My butter was room temperature but not well softened, and I definitely struggled a bit. You could of course use the stand mixer to mix this together, but I just didn't feel like it today. We got there in the end though. Place it to the side until you're ready to use it. After at least an hour, take the dough out of the refrigerator, lightly flour your work surface, and begin to roll out. Make sure you're flouring your table as you go so that the dough doesn't stick. You want a rectangle that is about 2 times longer than it is wide and about 1 centimeter thick. Place all your butter filling on the dough and spread out into a thin, even layer all the way out to the sides. Then the top third comes down and the bottom third comes up. Make sure your lines are straight as you can make them. Flour your dough again and begin to roll out until it is about 1 centimeter thick.
We are going to be cutting strips, so it's really important that this way is nice and long so that when we cut the strips, they're nice and long and thin. If you make them too short and fat, strips that are like this kind of shape, then you're gonna have a really hard time twisting the buns around and they're gonna become really high and tight as opposed to like really low, which is what we want for these particular buns. Take your trusty pastry knife, and I like to scale out my dough. Just gonna cut the end off so we have a nice clean start here. In a bakery setting, I have usually scaled out buns like this to around 100 grams each, but I always feel like that's really big at home, so I shoot for 80-ish. We'll see what we land on today. 87, 96, that's way too big. 84. Okay, we'll try to get between 80 and 90 maybe. If you're within a 10 gram range, you're totally fine. If you start to go bigger than a 10 gram range, say 20, even like 30, now you're starting to have buns that are really different in size, which is gonna give you uneven proofing and uneven baking. So you do wanna try to keep them like as much the same size as you possibly can. You don't necessarily need to scale them, but it is super helpful. 89, all right, there we go. Thinner than I think it has to be. 88, okay, there we go, I got it now. She's got it. She's got it. I got it. I said I got it. Grab yourself a baking tray and a piece of parchment. Just pick these up, move them all over here. They can definitely kind of like sit on top of each other. That's no problemo. Nice little pile for us to work off of. Now you don't want this pile to sit here for an hour. Like, you pile it up, you go, you roll. Don't just be like having this stand there, or you will have a mess on your hands. So for these guys, you're gonna twist, you're gonna twist. And that little drop I do, I'm relaxing it. I'm helping it like, and then you take your little center and you just twirly, 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 twirl, 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 twirl. And then this little end here, you wanna just tuck under and press down. And boom, there you go. We are going to twist, relax, twist, relax. Now, this part of the dough is a little bit thinner than the rest of it, so it's twisted more than this part. So I'm gonna twist a third time, but I'm not gonna twist this end, I'm just gonna twist this end like that and relax it one more time. And we take the middle and we go in, 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 in. We're at the end now, and tuck your little end under so it doesn't unravel on the tray. And you do want to squish it so you don't have a part of your dough that's like, or a part of your bun that's like, bloop, you know what I mean? Now when I'm twirling, I am keeping it, like I am picking it up and helping it go, and I'm not rolling it super tight. I'm kind of just like lifting it into place and around, so that way, like, it is twisted, but it's not like going around like this and like crushing itself. It's still relaxed, but now my sides are touching. And see, if I didn't press it down, this is what it would look like without the tail tucked, with the tail tucked under. So you just wanna squish it so it becomes a nice, flat, homogeneous guy. This is an example of a bun that was twirled too hard. See how it automatically just kind of goes up underneath itself? What you want is to keep lifting it so that it doesn't come up the sides. And now like that, it's sitting flat. All of our buns are rolled, looking beautiful. We already have these 5 on our tray. Now here's the thing, boys and girls. I'm by myself here, right? Like, all of these buns will eventually go to different friends in Stockholm, but not today. And not tomorrow, probably later this week. So these 24 here, I'm gonna freeze down. If you need any more information on how to freeze buns, how to defrost them, how to store them, all of that information, I already have a video on that. You can find that here. And we are just going to bake off these 5. So let me clean up and I'll come back to you. All clean. These guys are now going to sit out until they are doubled in size. So we're looking at anywhere between 1 hour if it's really warm in your environment to like 4 hours if it's really cold in your environment. I have saved my plastic to pop over them because you don't want them to form a skin. You could also do this with a tea towel, but I prefer plastic just because a tea towel does let in some air. Because if they form a skin, they will start to proof, but the skin will trap them in and then they'll crack and they'll get all weird. It's just not, it's not nice. Don't do that. And also, as I'm laying this on here, I am kind of sealing my edges so that the air and moisture doesn't get in or out respectively. But I do want them to be kind of loose, because if you tighten the plastic over this and then these start to proof, they will start to proof under the pressure of the plastic and will proof really wonky and weird. And that is also something that we don't want. So let these sit until doubled in size, and then we will bake them and then eat them. It's pretty warm in my apartment today, so it's been about an hour-ish, and they are looking super nice. They're doubled in size, they're really puffy, they're ready to go. We love to see it. I've had my oven preheating at 400 degrees, and we just need to quickly get our pastry cream ready. All we need is our trusty whisk, and just kind of break it up and stir, and keep stirring. Stir, stir, stir. You could also obviously do this in the stand mixer and it would be faster and go easier, but here we are. You just want to beat it until it's nice and smooth again. I'm gonna say that that is good enough for a government job. Thank you, whisk. Scissors at the ready. We're just gonna put that to the side for right now. Take these guys again. And I like to have a little bit of flour on my fingertips to do this, just so they don't stick as much. And we're gonna go into the center and you're gonna press down and knock some air out, like that. Just a little bit, gonna knock it out. That way we have a nice little hole for our cream. So we want a nice small hole here. They're really bad scissors. Okay, all right, let's see how much we wanna do today. Yeah, I'd say about that much. There we go, just a little bit in the center. See, this is why, like, you see this amount of pastry cream and you go, there's no way that's gonna be enough, but like, this is such a small amount, like it's smaller than you think it is, but it makes such a big difference on the buns. There we go. Gorgeous. I'm not gonna egg wash these or anything, because when they come out, we are going to brush them with the syrup the rhubarb is sitting in. So they're gonna get shiny, they're gonna get color, the crust is going to get moisturized. You could do an egg wash at this point. I just feel like I'm kind of lazy. It's an extra step. Look how beautiful they are. It's so exciting. I'm gonna die. Okay, so we're turning so that everyone can see what I'm doing here. Look how beautiful this rhubarb is. Just gonna go in the syrup and brush, 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 brush all around the sides here. It is also like this little like crusty bit. It's going to help like soften that so your bun like isn't hard and then doesn't like get harder. It's gonna make it really nice and soft. And then because it's a rhubarb simple syrup, it's going to help just in a very subtle, slight way, like emphasize that rhubarb flavor. Oh my gosh, look how beautiful they already are. Gorgeous. Dude, this rhubarb is seriously, it's so beautiful. And it's like, it's definitely soft, it's definitely cooked, but it's not gonna like fall apart. That's why I don't like actually cooking the rhubarb. I just like putting the boiling syrup directly over the rhubarb, because like it's gonna cook enough. You don't need to do more. You just pile your rhubarb up on top of there. And make sure when you're taking them out of the container, I'm using a slotted spoon right now, that you're really kind of like draining them off, because you don't want too much liquid from the bottom of these guys to like seep into the bun. And also, if you're thinking to yourself, well, Cecilia, why didn't you just cook the rhubarb into the bun? Look, this rhubarb is already cooked. I don't want it to go into the oven again for another 10 minutes, get hard spots, get crystallized spots, get caramelized spots, be weird, whatever. Like, this rhubarb is gorgeous as it is. Unless you eat like a heathen, like it's not gonna fall off while you're eating it. It's not gonna fall off in transport, don't worry. Now you can bake your rhubarb into your bun if that's what your heart truly desires. I'm not gonna stop you, but this is what I suggest. And they're so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Oh, I gotta take a picture of that. I feel like a mom at prom, you know, where she's taking a million pictures. That's me right now. I told you, mom at prom. Okay, I'm done now. I'm gonna eat this one. It's like 5:30 here. This is in the afternoon, obviously, not the morning. This is 100% going to be my dinner. If you're watching this, Dad, no, it's not. I'm going to eat a vegetable. But so good. It's super, super subtle, but there is a little rhubarby tang. Not a lot, but like, it's there. Oh my God. Good. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great week and that I'll see you around next week. Hej då!